Skywatch.Ai insurance is on demand and anytime you need it. Check out the link below. I'm Justin Davis and this is Drone Camps RC. What's up guys, welcome back to the shop. I'm Justin Davis. If you'd like to get entered into our October drawing, please do click down below, make a comment on this video because we're going to give away this month. We're going to give away a Baby Hawk R and an awesome IH3 long range edition 1080p little micro brushless that's under 250 grams that you can long range. Super awesome little quads available for giveaway. So click down below if you'd like to support me on Patreon for $1 more. That would be super awesome. But today we're going to talk about some honesty about the ET V2 series. We're going to get through all of this together. We're going to go outside and fly this. I'm going to let you know if I think this one's worth buying or not, who this would be for, and how durable this is going to be. We're going to do a durability test. We're going to fly it around some pretty hardcore 2x4s and poles out in the field and try to shoot some gaps that might be a little bit stressful for this quad, but fun for me. We're going to test it on 2S battery because that's what they recommend. They say not to put this on 3S. It might damage the ESCs possibly, they say in their directions, and they have some pretty big directions in here. So very nice quad. We're going to go over the specs right after this, after we get back from some awesome flying with this little guy. So enjoy the flight test. We'll do some line of sight and then we'll do some FPV, and I'll show you what this little EV version 2 100 series is all about. Here we go. Let's go fly. All right, welcome back from the flight test. Now I can get honest about the ET100. This is the ET100 V2. If you haven't seen this one before, this one was a huge crowd favorite. A lot of people really like this one. The original ET100 sold out pretty quickly. It was originally Kingkong, and now they've relabeled them LDARC, and you can get this one in several different flavors. You can get it with a plug-and-play version, which is going to be no RX. You can get it bind and fly, which is going to give you DSM-2, FM800. You can also get the RX2A Pro receiver. You can get the AC900. So nobody's really left out with any type of radio. You can pretty much bind this to any radio out there. What I really like about the Kingkong series and the LDARC series is the fact that they give us awesome carrying cases with these. You can fit the quad in there, props on, prop guards as well, get a bunch of batteries in here, extra props, and all your gear in here for the exception of your radio maybe. And they also give you 3 extra canopies, and I'll show you all the extra gear that comes along with this. We have this original style canopy, and that was that sort of white canopy there. They give you a new smoke one, which is pretty cool. It has a back extension, and there's an LED on the very back of this one. One little single LED sticks out right there. And you also get this sort of fire engine red canopy, which is pretty cool. But this one has more of a racer look to it. I don't know if it's any faster than the old one, but it is rocking some pretty good motors on here. These are 1103, and these are 7800 kV motors. They are also branded LDARC on them. I've seen other motors like this come on the channel, and look how dirty this quad is after we did our flight test. I usually never show you guys a clean quad. I always bring them back dirty so I can give you an honest opinion about how they fly. But they put these new sort of prop nuts on the very top, and this is something new I haven't seen before. It's very interesting. It does make these bolts longer, so if you take this off, if you're a new guy, and you put these bolts back on, you might actually fry your motors, because these bolts are going to be too long and they're going to stick down into the coil and the stator inside your motor. So be wary, be cautious about removing these red little donuts, so to speak, and then not putting them back on. Just make sure you put these back on. I don't really know that these are really all that necessary. It's more for looks than anything else. If you want to run it without having those little donuts on top of the motors, you could probably get some shorter screws. Just make sure that they don't come down past that very top plate of the motor bell. So right there, if you see it sticking into the coils down below, the screw might be too long. Probably something like maybe 6 millimeter would probably make it down there. But you're going to have to be very careful if you decide to do that. Now, let's go ahead and get honest about the power system, the video transmitter, and the camera on here. The video transmitter did pretty well. It has a pretty good penetration, and it is that original video transmitter that I had on here last year. It was on the original one. It's the same one, so that's nothing new on the version 2. What is new is the newer camera on here, and I did notice that I had to shift around my dipole antenna. You notice mine's on the bottom right there. When I had it on the top, poking through this hole, I wasn't getting a very good signal back to my goggles, so I moved it. So while I'm flying, the signal's coming out like this, and this kind of move around a little bit if you want to, but one single zip tie, a little piece of heat shrink right there, it might just give you a better signal back and not as much chop. But the other thing was I was getting some interference from the power system as well. So those lines on the screen are coming from the power system somewhere. So whenever that happens, it's because of the way the quad's built and where the VTX video wires are running. They might be running close to some type of power source in here. Mainly, it would be the battery terminal wire right here that causes that interference. If you get it too close to the top of where ESCs are soldered on as well, that can also cause some video lines on your screen. So it might be the way that this one's built, but with shifting it around in the back just a little bit, I was able to kind of get rid of that. So if you get one of these, maybe just shift around this dipole back here a little bit and pop the top on here and see where that yellow wire is running to. You can see that little yellow wire right there. maybe even run it across the bottom instead of across the top, but that's totally up to you. Maybe reroute it somewhere else and you'll get less of those bands across the screen. Otherwise, the camera looked okay. I wouldn't say it was as good as the Beta FPV camera, but it was pretty decent for what it is for the money. Now, the frame on here is going to be 3mm carbon fiber bottom plate, and this is a total unibody plate, so you don't have to worry about replacing any arms, and I've never actually broke one of these. If you break one of these, you're probably doing something super crazy. Now, one thing I did break in my flight test for you guys was one of the prop guards. Check this out, this front one right here. And at the very end of my flight test, I got a lot of vibes in the camera after I broke this. So it was causing a lot of vibes coming back to the camera, which is kind of unfortunate. So another honest opinion about the ET series is maybe that the prop guards on these are a little bit brittle plastic, not quite as good as some of the other plastic that I've seen, but you could just take these totally off. If you want to be a real badass, just snip these prop guards off and fly it without them. I think it's actually going to fly a little smoother, because what happens with prop guards a lot is in that flight test that you saw earlier, sometimes when I'm coming down over trees like this or upside down and I'm coming back around, you get that a lot of prop wash coming through there, and a flight controller tends to make it bumble. It does this sort of thing like this, and you saw that happen several times in the video where it kind of bumbles out at the bottom of a big loop, and that's because you have all this prop wash in here with these prop guards. So it's not quite as efficient as running a quad without prop guards. So just a little more to tune. It's a little more sensitive to the flight controller because of all that extra airflow. Now, mine came with a 450 milliamp 2C battery, and it says it's rated from 80 to 100C. This battery is pretty good. It's going to get you probably about 3.5 minutes if you're flying like a normal person. If you're ripping around, really ripping the throttle, doing punch outs and giant tree loops and things like that, you're probably going to get maybe 2 minutes flight time out of this battery. And the ESCs on board are 4-in-1 12 amp ESCs. So with the 1103 motors and 12 amp ESCs, that's a pretty good power system on something this size, and you do get a nice little freestyle type of whoop out of this. You can have a lot of fun, but if you really just want to cruise with this one, if you're a new guy, this one will also fly really, really smooth, and it tracks really straight. So I like the fact that it does track really straight and flies really well. The day that we flew it this afternoon, it was actually really nice and sunny outside, and I had no problems flying this at all with the 2S battery. Now, some people are going to say, oh, well, it has 12 amp ESCs. I could probably run a 3S battery on there. The directions here say not to run the 3S battery. I guess you probably could. They also have another version of this one called the ET115 3S version, and that one is supposed to be for 3S, but both of these quads actually have 12 amp BL Heli S 4-in-1 ESCs. So kind of strange that this one's only capable of running 3S. However, it could be that the 7800 kV motors can't handle the 3S. So it's going to be the motors on this one that can't handle 3. So if you're wanting to fly some crazy whoop on 3S, go with the 1104 5500 kV motors. This one right here is the ET115. So that's really the only big difference, is that the motors are going to be rated for 3S versus the 2S setup right here. But if you want one that's a little bit slower and a little easier to handle, get the ET100 version 2. If you want a hot rod, get the ET115 with 3S. You can also fly this one on 2S, no problems. Now, they also give you some extra props in the box, and you get 2 colors here, and they were in right turn and left turn packages, which is kind of cool. So when you go for another prop, you can just grab the right package and get the right turn prop. And I did actually break a prop during my flight test for you, but they do have these little grooves in here, and these are kind of Kingkong original style props that we were running probably a little over a year ago. They're still making them. They fly really, really well. They're really smooth. smooth little tri-prop, but they're not quite as durable as some of the newer props that are coming out. So keep that in mind. And these are also 2-inch props. So it's going to be a 2-inch prop that you're looking for to replace these. And inside this little pack right here, we have 8 pieces of M2s, and you have shorter ones in here, guys. That's awesome news, because the shorter ones are for using without these little red helmets on top of the motors. So if you decide to remove those, they did include smaller and shorter screws. Those look like about maybe 6mm right there on the shortest ones. So yeah, M2 6 right there. So 6mm, and that's what I was saying before I even pulled out the package, that it looks like 6mm would fit that without this, but I'm assuming that these are going to probably be 8mm in total length there for those screws going through the motors. You also get a couple extra rubber bands, because that's the way that you mount your battery on the bottom, and this worked out pretty good. You just take your battery and you push it right through there, and the rubber band holds it down quite well. And I'm not totally sure why they didn't do an XT30, but I think since the motors are so high kV that they just didn't want to put the extra amps and voltage out to those motors. So your JST is just going to plug in just like that, and you're good to go. But it does balance out pretty good when you put this battery on there. And you can also run a little bit larger battery on this one. If you want to get away with something like a 650, you could also run a 2S650 on this, no problem. And if you really wanted to get a little bit heavier, you could run something like an 850 for a little bit longer flight time with the ET100. Now, what's also cool is they also give you stickers. I'm a big fan of extra stickers in here, and these are LDARC type stickers. And it looks like for the 185mm, oh, it's interesting. I wonder if they have a 185. ET100 stickers right here. Looks like someone stole a couple of mine. But what's cool about this is they do have a little test flight sticker that comes on it. So each one of these have been test flown in the factory before they went out, I'm assuming, and flight test. Maybe they just powered it up before they sent it to us. But you know that it's going to be working when you see that little test approved sticker on the back of this quad. All right, so I'm going to give you my final opinion on this one. Do I think it's worth the money? I think it's worth the money, mainly because I came home with a working quad, and you guys know I fly these things like I stole them, and I really do kind of put them through the ringer to find out if they can handle some abuse, and mainly because you guys are paying your hard-earned dollars for these, and I also want to know for myself if we have a winner. Every single quad that comes out, it might seem like similar components, one quad to the next, but it's really not. And you don't really find out what a quad's made of until you take it out and bash it around. I did break one prop guard, so that might be one minus point off of the total quad's 5-star rating. We're gonna rate this quad, I would say like maybe a 4.2 out of 5, maybe 4.0. I guess I don't like prop guards. I'm not a big fan of prop guards. So then again, this is not really a sort of a maniac's freestyle drone. It's more of an FPV cruiser. You can really get going quite fast, but it's not going to fly as crazy as something like a Baby Hawk R. So don't expect this to be like a Baby Hawk R. For guys that want to get out there and just enjoy flying FPV, that's what this quad is all about. It's just getting out there and really cruising. You can still do some big type of maneuvers with it, but like I said, again, it is going to lumber a little bit in the bottom of those big loops and things like that because of the prop guard. So that's the only thing, but it did save all my props, and I only broke one prop during all the crashes that I had. I bounced it off 2x4s, I bounced it off my leg. I actually hit myself in the face once with this one. Yeah, go figure. Thank God I was wearing Fpv goggles and had a buddy nearby to watch out for me. But this little guy, fun factor is a 5 out of 5 for the fun factor. Durability, I would say 5 stars for the durability, maybe 4.5 for that one broken piece right here, that front prop guard. But then again, I was flying it into 2x4s, so you can't be too hard on something that I flew straight into a 2x4 at full speed. And it still actually works. I could just glue that back together with a little bit of CA, and that would be fine. I would get no vibrations in the camera again, and I would be good to go. But everything is all covered up in here, so definitely 5 stars for the durability. I didn't even touch the carbon frame on the bottom. The carbon frame totally survives. A little bit of dirt there, but that's about it. Also, I think the box that it comes along with is pretty great because everything fits in here and you can fit a ton of batteries in here. You can even take this extra box in here out, but it does close up on the very top just like that. You almost probably could get 2 of these in this box. I love it that they give such a big box with these LDARC quads. They are really nice boxes, and I always want to keep these for just regular 4S 1300 batteries. They're also kind of nice for a field box, but yeah, so I'm gonna say 4.2 stars total score for the ET V2. Not bad, and I can't wait to actually fly the 3S version of this for you. But for guys just starting out, if you just want to fly FPV and you're just getting into this and you want something to fly in stability mode first and have something that's solid and it's not going to be doing strange things when you're flying it, this one is a good quad for that. If you're sort of more intermediate to pro flyer, this one would be fun, but kind of more of a novelty for you. If you're beginner to intermediate, this will be fun to play around with, even maybe upgrading this camera to something like a run cam style micro cam and have even more fun with it. But I think overall this quad is mostly aimed at the new guys, and I think if you're just getting into the hobby, this is a really foolproof way to get into it. There's a lot of protection all the way around this quad, top and bottom. Not the best place for the VTX in my opinion, but other than that, this guy held up pretty well, even with some more sort of crazy flying that I did with it, and it came home in one piece, which is great. Let's go ahead and get sort of a dry weight on here. I'm just going to turn on the scale to grams, and we got 46. Let's see what we got here. 46, 48, 48.1 grams, and that's without the battery. So that's really actually crazy light. I gotta weigh that again just to make sure that that's actually the weight. Okay, 47 on the money. So now we're gonna put this. Let's put this battery on here and see. So this is way under 250 grams, guys. It's not regulated by the FAA. So we're just gonna put this. Even with the battery, it's under 250 grams. So you guys are not having to register this one or anything like that. So right around 108 grams, 108.2 grams total takeoff weight, 108.3, not bad at all. So very nice quad for under that 250 gram mark, not bad at all. But then again, But again, guys, thanks for watching this video. This one was a lot of fun, and I really do love this ET series, and I can't wait to fly the next version for you guys. Hopefully we get that ET115 3S version on the channel, and also the newer one coming out as well, the ET125, and those are all version 2. Version 2 is here. This did so well before that now they have a version 2. I'm Justin Davis, guys. Take care. Peace out, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.